This creates the first wave of preventable deaths, and it's just the beginning. Clean water becomes increasingly scarce. Even if you stored water in those first crucial hours, you need to start thinking about long-term water sources. Rainwater collection, water purification methods, and rationing become matters of life and death. Most people dramatically underestimate how much water they actually need, not just for drinking, but for cooking, cleaning, and sanitation. The waste management crisis begins now too. When garbage trucks stop running and sewer systems fail, disease becomes a major threat. Communities that don't establish proper waste disposal and sanitation protocols quickly find themselves facing outbreaks that can kill more people than violence or starvation. As we move into the second week, crime evolves from opportunistic theft to organized raiding. Groups of desperate people start working together to take what they need by force. Your peaceful suburban neighborhood might suddenly face armed groups looking for easy targets. This is when your early community building efforts either pay off or get you killed. Communities that established mutual defense and resource sharing in those first few days have a chance. Those that didn't often get picked apart by better organized groups. You need to understand that staying hidden becomes crucial now. Covering windows so light doesn't show at night, avoiding cooking during daylight hours when smoke might be visible, walking softly and speaking quietly. Any sign that your home is occupied and has resources makes you a target. The psychological pressure during this period is immense. The reality of the situation has fully sunk in, but most people still haven't accepted that this might be permanent. Hope can keep you alive, but false hope can get you killed. You need to start planning as if rescue will never come, while still maintaining enough optimism to keep fighting. By the third week, something fundamental shifts in how people think and act. The individuals who are going to make it start separating from those who won't. Successful groups begin establishing clear leadership structures, dividing responsibilities based on skills and abilities. They start thinking beyond just surviving day to day and begin planning for long-term sustainability. This is when bartering becomes crucial, but you need to be extremely careful about how you trade. Every transaction reveals information about what you have and what you need. Smart survivors trade strategically, always getting fair value while never showing their full hand. Knowledge becomes currency now. If you can purify water, treat injuries, repair equipment, or grow food, you become invaluable to any community. But you need to share just enough expertise to prove your worth without making yourself replaceable. The communities that thrive during this period are the ones that balance resource sharing with individual accountability. Everyone contributes according to their abilities, but nobody gets a free ride. Harsh decisions have to be made about people who consume resources without contributing value. As we reach the 1-month mark, society has fundamentally reorganized itself into small, insular communities, focused purely on survival. The concept of being a lone wolf survivor becomes obviously ridiculous. Humans are social creatures, and isolated individuals simply cannot gather enough resources, maintain adequate security, and handle all the necessary tasks of survival alone. But community life isn't some idealistic commune situation. Resources are limited, tensions are high, and every decision could mean the difference between group survival and group death. Leadership disputes can tear communities apart. Resource allocation arguments can turn allies into enemies overnight. Successful communities start establishing trade relationships with other nearby groups. Maybe one community has medical expertise while another has established good food production. These inter-community relationships become crucial for accessing resources that no single group can provide alone. The physical demands of this lifestyle are brutal. Without modern conveniences, everything requires more time and energy. Gathering firewood, hauling water, standing guard duty, preparing food from scratch, the calorific requirements increase just as food becomes more scarce. This is when poor physical fitness starts killing people who might otherwise survive. You don't need to be an athlete, but you need enough strength and endurance to handle the daily demands of survival living. Those who spent years in sedentary lifestyles often can't adapt to the physical reality of post-disaster life. 2 months in, and the psychological landscape has completely changed. People stop talking about when things will return to normal, because deep down, everyone knows normal is gone forever. The communities that accept this reality and start building for the long term are the ones that will make it. Those still clinging to the hope of quick rescue often make fatal mistakes. This is when resource management becomes absolutely critical. Your stored food supplies, no matter how extensive, are running low. Water storage and purification systems need constant maintenance. Medical supplies are being consumed faster than anticipated. Every decision about resource use has to consider sustainability over months or even years. The security situation becomes more complex too. Early raiding groups have either been eliminated, absorbed into communities, or evolved into more sophisticated threats. Territory disputes between communities can turn violent quickly. The groups that survive are those that can project strength while avoiding unnecessary conflicts. Internal community politics become life and death matters.
In 2020, we got a taste of how quickly our world can collapse. But what if the lights stayed off for 90 days? What if the trucks stopped coming, the water stopped flowing, and help never arrived? Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens during each phase of a prolonged national disaster, from the deceptively calm first 24 hours to the brutal reality of month 3. By the end of this video, you'll understand the critical decisions that separate survivors from victims and the harsh timeline that most people are completely unprepared for. Welcome to Crisis Horizon, where we explore the realities of emergency preparedness and survival. If this information could save your life, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more critical survival content. Picture this. A massive cyber attack takes down the power grid. Solar flares destroy electronic infrastructure. A coordinated terrorist attack cripples multiple major cities simultaneously. The cause doesn't matter. What matters is that within hours, you're facing a reality where normal life has stopped, and it's not coming back anytime soon. Most people think they understand what a disaster looks like because they've seen hurricanes or blackouts that lasted a few days. They think they're prepared because they have a flashlight and some canned food. But a 90-day national disaster isn't just a longer version of the emergencies we're used to. It's a complete breakdown of everything that keeps our society functioning. The first thing you need to understand is that the majority of people have less than a week's worth of food and water in their homes. When those trucks stop delivering to grocery stores, when the water treatment plants shut down, when the gas stations run dry, that's when the real countdown begins. Let me take you through what really happens hour by hour, day by day, because understanding this timeline could be the difference between life and death. The first 24 hours after a major disaster often feel eerily calm. People are still processing what happened. Emergency services are still trying to respond. There's this strange window of normalcy where everyone thinks help is coming soon. This is your golden opportunity, and most people waste it completely. During these crucial first hours, you need to take 3 immediate actions. First, fill every container you can find with water. Bathtubs, pots, bottles, buckets, everything. Pumping stations need electricity, and when that fails, the taps run dry. You might have hours or maybe a day before the water stops flowing, and you need to capture every drop you can. Second, get fuel immediately. Gas stations need electricity to pump fuel, and they'll be offline soon. If you don't fill up your vehicle and any spare containers in those first few hours, you might not get another chance for months. Third, if you absolutely must make a supply run, do it now with cash. Credit card systems will be down, and stores will only accept physical money. But here's the critical part. Assess the risk. If you see panic buying starting, if crowds are forming, stay away. The supplies you might gain aren't worth the danger of being caught in a mob. But the most important decision you'll make in those first hours isn't about supplies. It's about whether to stay or go. This decision will determine whether you live or die, and you need to make it based on cold, hard facts, not emotions. To stay, you need to honestly evaluate whether your current location can sustain you for 3 months. Do you have reliable water access? Can you defend your position? Are your neighbors likely to become allies or threats? Most importantly, can you remain hidden and secure when society breaks down around you? If you decide to leave, you need to go immediately before roads become impassable or dangerous. But here's what most people don't understand. Bugging out to some remote location only works if you have the skills and supplies to live completely self-sufficiently. If you don't, you're just choosing a different place to die. By the end of the first 72 hours, the illusion of normalcy shatters completely. People realize that help isn't coming, at least not quickly. This is when panic truly sets in, and when the first wave of looting begins. Store shelves that weren't emptied by panic buying will be cleared by theft. Windows get broken, the veneer of civilization starts peeling away. Emergency services become overwhelmed, and then non-existent. Police officers have families too, and when they realize this isn't a temporary situation, many abandon their posts to protect their own loved ones. The same goes for firefighters, medical personnel, and anyone else you might expect to maintain order. This is when forming community alliances becomes critical for survival. If you haven't already connected with your neighbors, you need to do it now. But be strategic about it. You want to identify people who can contribute skills, security, or resources, while being careful not to reveal the full extent of what you have prepared. The people who survive disasters aren't the ones with the most supplies. They're the ones who can work effectively with others while still protecting their own interests. You need to find that balance between cooperation and self-preservation. By within a week, the transformation is complete. What used to be your neighborhood is now a survival zone. Martial law might be declared, but without functioning communication systems or adequate personnel, it's meaningless. You're essentially living in a lawless environment where the only rules are the ones enforced by whoever has the most power. By now, anyone who depends on medication for survival is in serious trouble. Insulin, heart medication, psychiatric drugs, the supply chains for these life-saving treatments have collapsed. Hospitals, if they're still operating at all, are overwhelmed and running out of supplies. Power struggles, resource allocation disputes, and personality conflicts that might have been minor irritations in the old world can now destroy entire communities. Leadership skills, diplomacy, and the ability to build consensus become survival necessities. By month 3, the transformation is complete. What emerges isn't a temporary survival situation anymore. It's a new form of society. Communities that have made it this far have established sustainable systems for food, water, security, and governance. They've created new social structures adapted to their harsh reality. The 90-day mark isn't an endpoint, it's just the beginning of a new phase. Communities now face the challenge of long-term sustainability. Can they produce enough food to be self-sufficient? Can they maintain their infrastructure and equipment without outside support? Can they handle population growth, aging, and the 100 other challenges of building a functioning society from scratch? The skills that determine survival at this point aren't the ones most preppers focus on. It's not about having the biggest food stockpile or the most weapons. The survivors are the people who can build consensus, solve complex problems, adapt to changing circumstances, and maintain their hope in the face of seemingly impossible challenges. Medical knowledge becomes critically important now. Without access to modern healthcare, communities need people who can handle everything, from childbirth to emergency surgery, using improvised tools and limited supplies. The communities with medical expertise have a massive advantage in both survival and recruitment. Education and knowledge preservation become priorities. If this new society is going to rebuild and advance, someone needs to maintain critical knowledge and skills. The communities that establish libraries, schools, and apprenticeship programs are thinking beyond mere survival toward actual civilization. Here's what most people don't understand about disaster preparedness. The skills you need for the first week are completely different from the skills you need for the first month, which are completely different from the skills you need for long-term survival. Most preppers focus on short-term survival without thinking about the social, psychological, and organizational challenges of rebuilding society. The harsh reality is that individual preparedness, no matter how extensive, isn't enough for a 90-day scenario. You need community. You need leadership abilities. You need the skills to work with others under extreme stress while maintaining your own moral compass and survival instincts. The communities that make it through 90 days and beyond share certain characteristics. They established clear leadership early. They balanced individual needs with group survival. They made hard decisions about resource allocation without losing their humanity. They adapted their plans as circumstances changed, and they never gave up hope even when the situation seemed hopeless. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you preparing for the right disaster? Because if you think a 90-day national catastrophe is just about having enough food and ammunition stockpiled, you're preparing to be part of the 90% who don't make it. The survivors won't be the people with the biggest bunkers or the most supplies. They'll be the people who can build trust, solve problems, adapt to changing circumstances, and maintain their humanity even when the world has gone completely insane. The question isn't whether a 90-day disaster could happen, it's whether you'll be part of the 10% who make it through or the 90% who don't. Your preparation decisions today are literally life and death choices for tomorrow. And remember, 90 days isn't the end, it's just when the real rebuilding begins.
If this video opened your eyes to the realities of long-term survival disaster, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have more critical survival content coming that could save your life when it matters most. And if you found value in this information, please share it with others who need to understand what they're really preparing for. Stay prepared, stay informed, and remember, knowledge is your most important survival tool.